Did they say why, Willard? Why they want to terminate my augmented hosts? I was sent on a classified mission, sir. It's no longer classified, is it? Did they tell you? They told me that you had gone totally insane and that your methods and cards were unsound. Are my methods unsound? I don't see any method at all, sir. That, of course, was a dramatic reading of one of the most famous scenes from the movie Unstable Apocalypse Now. And these cards are definitely starting to chip away at my sanity, but let's burn through the augments and the hosts, and then probably give up on the series. You can read the rest of the damn cards yourself. All right, let's start with Angelic Rocket, which is awesome. I wouldn't even augment it. It looks just fine. So I'm not going to read the whole, when this creature enters the battlefield, because as far as I know, every single host says that. But it is permanently flying, which is kind of nice, and you may destroy target non-land permanent. That is absolutely bonkers insane. Makes sense because it's rocket-powered, and rocket-powered everything is awesome except for Team Rocket. But it does cost 8, and it's only a 4/4 flyer. But, I mean, some of the triggers are like every time you play a land or something. So this could be single-handedly game-ending, but in a limited game with very limited ramp, you are never going to get to 8. So don't really know how I feel about this card. Next up, Big Boa Constrictor. Or Cat Constrictor. I just love these combinations. You know they thought about them ahead of time. So the effect is, or the ability I should say, roll a 6-sided die, target opponent loses life equal to the result. Holy cow, is that powerful. I mean, it's only a 1/2 base, but depending upon the commonality, I guess you could say, or the prevalence of the trigger, you could just win the game just sitting there. You wouldn't even have to swing. So this is some power for a common card. Next up, Bumbling Pangolin, or whatever you want Pangolin, Adorable Cat Pangolin or whatever. You may destroy target artifact. That's really nice considering every single game in every deck will have artifacts in it because, you know, contraptions. It's conceivable that somebody could try to run with 0 contraptions, but I wouldn't. It's not a smart idea. The fact that this costs 4, though, that's a little much, considering it's a 2/2, but it's a glorified, you know, enchantment, basically. It's just going to sit there and do stuff. I wouldn't even really consider it a creature. It's just there to wreck the other person's contraptions. Next up, common or not so common, Iguana. You may discard a card if you do draw a card. I mean, it's May. And it's a 1/3. I mean, why you would use like an augment and a common trigger on this, I don't know, but it might be able to make something out of it. I mean, it is 2. I mean, a 1/3 for 2, even if you never intend to augment it, it's not bad. I'd prefer like a 0/5, but whatever. Next up, Crafty Octopus. This creature assembles a contraption. Oh, an augment-based assembler, or whatever. I mean, I guess you could call them riggers. It's just not every card that puts together or assembles a contraption is a rigger. This one is, though. So that's an insanely good effect. Kind of makes up for the fact that it's a 1/3 for 3. So, yeah, I'd play it. It's pretty good. Next up, Dirty Rat, or as Wizards of the Coast likes to call them, white males. Target opponent discards a card. Oh my gosh, on a recurring trigger. Are you kidding me? I mean, even just the ETB, this thing costs 2. This is the best host I've seen in the game so far. Now keep in mind I'm reading these as I make the video. It's a common. If you see this and you're playing black or you think you can even generate a black once, do it. Next up, Eager Beaver, because they would have gotten sued if it said angry. You may untap target permanent. That's kind of cool. It's like really crappy manual vigilance on a small scale, I guess. But it's a 3/2. I mean, you might be able to make something out of that. If I was going hosted augment heavy, I'd have no problem throwing it in, but it wouldn't be my first choice. Next up, Feisty Stegosaurus. They really weren't trying very hard on the artwork on that one. It looks like they just drew it and then put an overlay on it. Anyway, roll a 6-sided die. This creature deals damage equal to the result to target creature and opponent control. So not the opponent as well, but it's recurring removal. And you guys know that the augments tend to trigger these multiple times, so I love this. And it's a 2/1 for 5, so that's like really horrible, but I mean, you could consider it a removal spell that also generates a 2/1 creature. It's just not very reliable, so that's not bad. It's just enough because removal is so good and limited that I would probably throw it in. Next up, Gnome Made Engine. Apparently it stops being made by gnomes if you augment it. That's weird. Create a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token. It's a 2/2 for 4. I mean, unless you really have a reliable augment to put on it, I don't know. That seems a little thin, and 1/1s aren't gonna win you the game. So I'm kind of on the fence about this one. Finally, an augment card, half shark, half gnome machine, or what I already forgot what the last one's called. At the beginning of your upkeep. Oh my god, I thought the landfall one was the easiest recurring one. Nope. But this is a 6 cost, so it's no joke. But it's +3/+3, so that's pretty functional. I don't know if I necessarily feel safe swinging with it in case of an ambush or something. It's not like they're going to play Celestial Flare, but, whatever. But at the beginning of your upkeep, I mean, you can make him discard a card. Like, just look at all the other hosts. This is the most powerful augment, even beating the one that I think said something about double strike. I don't remember. I think that was a thing. Come to think of it, I think that was a contraption. Either way, this is amazing. The next one, it's just humming. That's awesome. I love it. It's flying, so that's cool. So whatever you put it on now is flying, and it's +2/+3, and it only costs 4. Like, that's just good. So the trigger parameter here, the condition or whatever, is whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures. So little military intel effect there. Very underrated card, by the way. This is just absolutely solid. It's probably going to be on curve. It's not more mana or more card than you can really afford to lose, but it can single-handedly win the game. So it's amazing. I love it. Next up, Rhino, who I happen to know has a channel on YouTube. Whenever this creature blocks, and it's a +1/+4, so that's pretty awesome, because it's like a attack deterrent, and it's only augment 4, so put this on your absolute best of the best host creature with the best ability, and they're going to think twice about swinging. Next up, Mother Kangaroo, who of course has a squirrel on her back, because of course. Roll a 6-sided die, put a number of 1/1 counters on this creature equal to the result. Boy, that is putting all your chickens or eggs or whatever the hell in one basket. Why could I never remember idioms when I'm recording videos? I'm really good with them in actual, practical, real, like, everyday life. Anyway, 1 removal spell and your augmenter, your host, everything. Totally gone. Now, the other thing is, okay, if this was a green creature, a 5/5 for 5 would be like the baseline. Totally vanilla, no trample, nothing. So, are you going to roll a 4? Well, I mean, your average amount should be 3.5, so I'd say no. So overall, this isn't a great host, but even if it landed at like a 4/4 for 5, that's not too bad, I guess. Now, if you pair this with the every upkeep, augment the shark one, oh my gosh. But like I said, 1 removal spell and it all falls apart. Next up, the guy from Iron Giant, which is weird, Robo, just straight up Robo. At the beginning of each end step, if an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, which does include contraptions, then trigger the ability. It's only +1/+1, but it's augment 2 colorless, so I'm on the fence about this one. +1/+1 is nothing. Augment 2, okay, cool. And that ability is going to go off pretty rarely, so I don't know. It's pretty rough. Next up, Numbing Jellyfish. That is not what they do. They sting and it hurts. It's literally the opposite of numbing. Anyway, roll a 6-sided die. Target player puts top X cards visit her library into his or her graveyard where X is the result. You are never going to mill them out. There are not enough mill cards in this set. This is absolutely unplayable. So unless you're trying to pack your own graveyard or something, I wouldn't. It's just not going to work. Next up, Shaggy Camel. Camel, stop trying to pull off the amazing bangs on a Highland cow. It's just not going to happen. It's just not you. So this is a 3/3 host for 4, and creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Kind of good, I guess. They'd see it coming. Can't really ambush it, because you have to augment as a sorcery, except for 1 card, the ninja. So, it's not like it's early on the curve. You could just say, okay, I'm playing hosts and augments, and I needed a cheap creature, and its ability isn't that great. But I guess if you're really short on creatures, throw it in. Otherwise, I would not. Next up, Steam-Powered. I need a Steam-Powered adorable kitten butt. That would be awesome. Augment 4, and it gains +4 toughness, and that's it. And then just straight up, pay 5 : just... You got 5 mana, you've got a trigger. Now, obviously, the one that says, every upkeep, do this. That's a little bit better. Landfall, do this. But still, then you're in control. And if it's really, really, really powerful, you can do it. So, it's alright, I guess. Plus it's colorless. You don't have to worry about fixing. I mean, you want to win the game. You don't just want to tank them with toughness, but this would be kind of neat, I guess. Next up, Stinging Scorpion. Target creature and opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Very weak, very unlikely to kill anything, but it is a 3/2, so if you were to drop their attack power and their toughness, plus an augment, you might be able to get something going. And like that other one that just says pay 5... Okay, you could probably afford that once. Landfall, you could do that once. So you're not going to trigger this like 4 or 5 times. It's just not possible. So for 5, I'd give it a pass. Next up, Voracious Vacuum. I love this. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It's a 1/1 and it's 3. You're almost going to have to drop it on itself to make it a little bit less bad because the 1/1's pretty bad. But then again, if you don't treat it like a creature because it's too important to put into combat, yeah, I mean, you can start dropping counters on other stuff, and depending upon what kind of trigger condition you got, might be able to make this work. Now, if you had to, this would enter the battlefield as a 2/2, because remember, when you drop the host in, you get 1 ETB of the effect. So, I don't know. I mean, once again, it's colorless, it's early. You could have a terrible mana base and still cast it. So, I think that alone means I'd probably lean towards putting it in. Next up, Wild Crocodile. Search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Oh, it's a shame it didn't say onto the battlefield tapped, because that alone would be an infinite loop with that other card. But this is good. This is ramp. I mean, would I, count on this once with the ETB, and then again with like a really good augment, and then also in order then pull like a 7 or 8 cost spell and have this be my ramp in the deck? No. That is like stupidly unlikely to happen. But I will say, this is a 2 cost 1/1 host. That already is pretty good for the curve. And for speed, you might get a couple cheap hits in, and you automatically just like attune with the Aether, basically. So early game mana fixing, late game good potential. Even if you don't need the lands, good. Like, use this ability to filter them out of your deck by literally taking them out of your deck. So this really is an exceptionally good card. And finally, assuming I didn't miss any, which I probably did, Zombified. Oh boy, this is very interesting. So its actual first ability, which is not the parameter for the trigger, I guess. I mean, this might trigger the ability. I have no idea. Combine Zombified from your graveyard with target host. I mean, the augment costs 5 in the first place, so you're not really losing anything there. It is only +2/+2, so that's kind of bad, but whatever, zombies are kind of rotting. So if they take out your augment and your host, you could just drop out a new host and bring this right back out. And then if you pay 3, exile a creature card from your graveyard, and then activate the ability. So you might be able to get that off twice. You're just going to run out of fuel really quick. So I don't know. I don't really like this one. Hey, guess what? I was right. I missed one or more. Still looking. But we got half orc, half hopefully kitten, because that would be awesome. So it grants trample and +3/+1. That's amazing. Augment only costs 3, but it's double red, so that's a little rough. And then at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, which, I mean, probably, boom, trigger. So this is just sheer power. It's cheap. It is a little bit color locked, but I love it. It is so good. So that's it for now. I might go through the rest of the spoilers. There's only like, a million of them left. Actually, 38. Seems doable. I don't know. Watch for that tomorrow morning, maybe, if I get up and feel slightly less like crap. I mean, I'm not really a morning person, but I do love the smell of napalm in the morning. See you guys next video. Hey, Des, it looks like children and teens are the most lucrative market on YouTube. How do you plan to attract them to your channel? Apocalypse Now references! But the movie came out in '79. Apocalypse Now. But, Des, it was rated R. Bro, I got 5 words for you. Lips now. Upload it.